Hi. Okay, so I wanted to add, I guess, a little bit of commentary to this part two of the process of building my floating little paradise at Red Rocket. um, I had sort of an initial idea. That's usually how I start, and then um, it sort of evolves as I see how things fit together. I don't draw things out to start. The thing that I have learned, though, and why I wanted to sort of record the narration for this one, is that once you put power in, you really don't want to start messing with your floors or your walls or whatever. You're bound to move a conduit or a wire or something that you had painstakingly laid out, and it's attached to a wall, and you can't get the wall back in after, because it's in the middle of the house and you can't get it snapped back in or whatever. So I try as hard as I can now to get at least the walls and floors in before putting in my major power. I know the Contraptions Workshop has those new little pipes. I don't know why they're called conduits. Why do they have to confuse me? Why are they called conduits? And then this couch, by the way, is from Renovated Furnitures. I'm not sure it's necessary after the Vault DLC, but it's a great mod. I mean, all the furniture is like nice and new and clean, because I don't believe in creating destroyed things 200 years after the nuclear war. I think we've learned how to make generators and guns and a bunch of other stuff. Why shouldn't we know how to make a clean couch? Anyway, um, so uh, so the Contraptions Workshop conduits, I hate them. I cannot make those pipes work for me. I don't understand how I'm supposed to lay them down. I'm graphically challenged, so maybe that's the problem. But I really just prefer simply and just elegantly hiding my power lines as much as possible with the vanilla conduits and power lines. I do have the mod called, oh golly, what is it called? It is called Longer Power Lines, I think. I'm just going to confirm that while I sort of keep talking. So I like to hide away my generators, like I said in the first video. This is a generator I modded myself. I just made it a pre-science perk. So, I mean, I know a lot of people want it more sort of difficult, but as far as I'm concerned, the power part is just like to give me power for my nice builds. So I want to put it in once. I don't want to put it in another bigger one later. So I just give it to myself a little earlier. I make it slightly less valuable. It's 80 instead of 100 for the fusion, and I'm trying here to figure out how to cover the damn thing, because it sort of pokes up higher than my concrete walls that I've put in. So obviously these walls aren't going to work. The barn, I've noticed that the barn and warehouse walls and floors and roofs only sort of snap to each other, which I find kind of irritating. That's from the any DLC, any all the time mod, by the way. Oh, okay. So the power lines. Cat, it is too early. You don't get fed yet. My cat wants to be fed earlier and earlier and earlier, all of the time. Okay, so I am going to resort to quarry catwalks, I think. From stairs, ladders, and ramps, by the same guy who makes vanilla extensions. Um, Beware, there are billions of snap points on his things, so they snap frequently and sometimes irritatingly quickly, but they are very nice. I use these, especially the core stuff, quite a lot. So looks like a perfect little cover for my generator. Okay, now that that's covered, I'm going to actually get into well, what I realize is that I need to get up on top somewhere with this power armor, because my power armor frame is up top of the building. So I'm going to get in here. I hardly ever use the power armor I hate it actually, but it's actually kind of nice when you're climbing around on places like high buildings because it does reduce falling damage. So now I want to figure out how to get up top, because up top is where you really want to be to get your power in nicely up on the roof. Here's this pylon here. I'm using this to sort of attach to the building. I want my power, attached to the building itself. I'm trying to figure out where the best place to put it is. Usually up high is very good for pylons, but it didn't work out for me in this one. But this is something, if you have floating buildings, underneath the floors is a great place to put conduits. It hides away the power lines really nicely, and it does reach up a whole level of building. To transmit power whole level building. So I'm here trying to just get the power on the bottom sort of done, so I can get up to the top and start there. I find one in each sort of corner between 4 floor squares is a great spacing for conduits, both for transmission of power and for the power lines themselves. I also want power to this door really badly. I think that's what I'm trying to do here. I actually have increased my speed here to 1.5, so that you can not have 5 hours of video. Problem, of course, with getting power to the door is that you have to get a power line to that little thing there, and this is on the first floor, and there's sort of things in the way, and the wires are tricky to get through walls. I know the new power conduits get them through walls. I'm hopeless with those things. Anyway, so here I am getting my power armor up where it belongs. Try and put this wall back in. Okay. Checking up my stuff. Trying to figure out how I'm going to get back down. Yeah, back down. Whoops, just hit tab again and that saves you. Okay, so I built myself scaffolding to get up and down. I like that. I like the scaffolding. Don't worry about the flower pot texture. That's me fucking around with a mod. Okay, still trying to get power to this door. Right? It should now be attached. Nope. I have to attach. As soon as it attaches, because I don't have a switch, as soon as it attaches, I should be able to in. I digressed a little from my power sort of project here to try to fit in some workbenches and stuff to see how it's going to look up here. I've decided my top floor is going to be my workbench sort of area. I'm putting in the cooking and chemistry over here. These renovated stoves are fantastic. They actually work as a cooking thing, and they come in purple, so I really love those. They're from the renovated furniture. I think, I'm not positive, but I think so. It comes with renovated fridges too, yeah, in the same colors. So yeah, so I'm sort of putting some stuff up here. So this is a digression from the power thing, but I don't like to get too long in one sort of area of my building. It gets boring, and I don't tend to get sloppy. It's better to come at it fresh, I think. Yeah. My toilets are a story unto themselves. I'm trying to figure out how to make myself a working toilet, and sort of using a different mod as an example, and failing miserably. I think it has something to do with the animation I'm putting on there and the keyword that goes with the animation, so I think I'm using the wrong one. But. And then downstairs here, I was going to have sort of my display sort of living area. The problem with these are the greenhouse walls. Or are they? Yes, these are the greenhouse walls, I believe. Because I use those instead of the warehouse walls because they actually snap to all floors. And the greenhouse walls don't take any attachments to them, like posters or anything, even the windows, even though they have those frames on there, which is kind of irritating. But, what'd you buy?
Yeah, that's great.
As I'm building this, I put a lot of ceiling fans in here because I can't put any wall lights on really on these greenhouse walls. They don't really snap onto the greenhouse walls for some reason. I actually take down the ones that are in the underneath the see-through floors a little later on, and you'll see why when I go upstairs here in just a little bit. Why that can be a little bit frustrating, actually. Just going over by my armor workbench because it's where I put clothes that are already modded. Right, OCD. And I'm going to put my weapons workbench over to look over towards Sanctuary. And then I'm switching out these glass railings, which come from craftable glass stuff by DD Productions. Absolutely amazing stuff. There's both a wood railing and a metal railing available, and I decided the metal railing is far better for the greenhouse walls I've chosen, I think. So I'm replacing the wood ones with that. I think they look a lot better. Once you start looking at details, it's easy to get caught up in them. So as I'm up here fiddling around with these things, I see the flickering on the walls, and I decide I'm going to have to do something about that later. I don't think I can stand it, especially at night. What if a true radiation storm comes while that's going on? No, it's too much. Of course, I haven't powered up this elevator yet, so I can't get down there. So I decide, well, probably it's time to get going on that. So I have to see where the actual connect point of this elevator is. I actually prefer DD Productions' elevators to these ones that came in the workshop. I think they are a much better design. They're kind of like the ones that hang off the highway overpasses. I really like those. They're nice and simple and easy to get around. These ones have weird floor levels. Yeah, it's weird. So here I'm messing around with the floors, trying to get to the power of this thing and snap it around so the power is actually on the outside where all my conduits are. Right now it's on the inside, which is problematic with wiring. I purposely, by the way, did not use the 4-level elevator because I don't want it actually to touch the ground. I don't want any settlers to be able to come up here unexpectedly. That really irritates me. I need peace and quiet. I don't need Piper telling me how she's going to be able to help me lighten the load. Yeah, so here I am trying to figure out how to connect this with the conduits. And this is where the under conduits are really good, and then you put one on the outside, and then just on the just right next to it, you'll put a wall attachment conduit, and it should work quite nicely. But you can minimize your mess with wires if you do all this sort of once, and try to plan it out as far as they'll reach within sort of a square grid. Like I said, I'm not very graphical, so it's hard for me to sort of explain graphical things, I guess. These wall attachment ones will, if you do it really carefully, go on the diagonal, which is handy because of the wire crossings issue. So underneath the building, I try to do as much of the power for the bottom bits of the workshop as possible. I'm not trying just to make sure I get over to the elevator and then over to the other side, the north side of the building after that. These are the DD Productions' 1x1 foundations. Obviously I've moved the ones under the elevator while we were upstairs. But I retextured them to go with my gray wood floors, and I've got used 2 different concrete textures here. One is the Clean Settlements concrete, and one is the one from Alternate flooring is from Ultimate Settlements. I think the one from Clean Settlements is nicer, actually. I think actually the one from Ultimate Floorings is the top one there. It seems a little more natural than the Clean Settlements concrete to me. I'll have to confirm that. Okay, and then with those power lines connected underneath and these nice wall-connected conduits, I can power my door, which is great progress. Although since then I realized that it sort of clips into the floor overhead, which I don't like. Placing some little things and starting to make it look a little bit more homey. And also, great success, I am able to wire up the elevator, which was just tricky to do unobtrusively because of where the power conduit on it is located, basically. But I think I've managed to make it, those power lines pretty unobtrusive. Taking everything out of here so it can't be stolen. And all this thing. Back my ramp. Now, of course, I have to get up to the roof to get the conduits on the top of the building. If I don't want them inside, you can either put them, inside, or on the walls of the second story. Walls of the second story also work great, but if you have the opportunity to, getting it up on the roof is where they're least seen. So I'm going to get myself a little ramp from, again, I know I've mentioned them a lot here. Stairs, ladders, and ramps. You could probably actually get this from the contraptions workshop now. The scaffolding set. It's not quite as varied as this one, but you could probably get up there. You just, climb up down some stairs too and scrap them again. But I like to have the scaffolding there while I'm building. I like to have the railings, to tell you the truth, because I do fall down. Let me tell you, I really, really, really do. What am I looking for? Oh, I know what I'm looking for. I am looking for the scaffolding floors so I can get a ramp. But see, these, they actually go in the menu items for the, yeah. There we go. And then once you have access to the roof, you can put the pointy uppy power conduits up there, and they're nice and out of sight. Don't fall off. This one's especially tricky because there's a hole in the middle for the tip of the red rocket. So, yeah, I found it kind of scary. Luckily, those slanted ones aren't slippery. Uh, the bit that was the scariest was actually connecting it to the wall connecting conduits on the edges, because you have to look down. But this I like this way of doing power. I think it's easier than those new contraptions workshop thingies. And that's the finished results in daylight. I don't think the power lines look that bad, and I think they look pretty good. That one in the foreground is actually one I can't scrap from vanilla, and that's what it looks like lit up from inside. Yeah. Thanks for watching.